Well, good afternoon. Yes, back in Africa, and it is afternoon. These are true tales of my African adventures. May this inspire you, deter you, caution you, and above all, entertain you. I would like anyone who is considering getting involved in capturing dangerous animals, and snakes in particular, to think very carefully about doing it. Listen to my story and then think very carefully about doing this, because regardless of the circumstances, your care, your carefulness, things can go wrong. And if they go wrong, it could be the last thing you do. Now, this is about a Cape cobra. This is an incredible story. I have, in fact, never told it to anybody. I only ever told it to my wife, and that was just recently. And the reason is, it's left me bewildered, and I'd rather leave the story alone. But I figure I've got to tell the story sometime. So here it goes. Cape cobras are the most venomous cobra in Africa. All cobras in Africa are extremely venomous, and the Cape cobra is far more, even up to 15 times more venomous than other land cobras in Africa. An extremely dangerous snake. Now, whereas puff adders used to kill more people than anyone else, any other snake that is, in Africa, Cape cobras have taken over that role. Because rural people are moving, as I've said in a previous video, to the Cape area, they are setting up homes in vacant or on vacant land around the cities where the Cape cobras live. And of course the snakes are having to live there as well, and accidents happen, and they are killing more people in Africa now than any other snake, Cape cobras, at least in southern Africa. So, a terrible bite. Now, I needed some Cape cobras because we were going to do an exhibition where Cape cobras were needed. And I had gotten a beautiful speckled one, a young adult, round about 1.2 meters, 4 foot long. It's not a very big snake. And I wanted to check if it would readily spread a nice big hood, so that when it went on display at the exhibition and it was shown off once in a while, it would produce a hood. Of course, we would be wearing boots and have a snake stick, a hook stick, and the snake would be under control. So I was in my room in an apartment where we lived at the time. I was still quite young then. I think it was shortly before I went to do my military service, so I would have been 19. And I still stayed with my mother at that stage, my parents that is. But my mother was at home that day. She would never be at home during the day at that time, ever, during the week, and she was at home. That's why I'm still alive today. And I took the snake out. It was a newly arrived captive, and I put it on the bed. And then I used my hand to coax it into spreading a hood. And it spread a very nice hood. But I wasn't familiar with the snake and its character yet. So I waved my hand in front of it at a fairly safe distance, that is, once again to get it to raise up its hood and see just to what extent it would go up and how wide the hood was, when suddenly it lunged at me and caught my hand. It caught me on the thumb like that and bit down hard, and I grabbed it behind the head, prized it off. This always takes, a few split seconds, but enough time for the snake to inject a lot of venom. I now realized that a mistake had been made, and if I didn't act quickly, I wouldn't live to see another day. So I got the snake back into its enclosure, went to my mother and said, "I'm terribly sorry for this inconvenience you are now going to have to face, but I've just been bitten by a Cape cobra, and it is the most venomous of all the cobras in Africa, and if I don't get to hospital soon, it's over." So she, of course, she was a calm lady, but she went into semi-panic mode, calm and controlled nonetheless. Got me into the car, and I was sitting in the car as we drove, and I was holding my hand up in this position. It just felt comfortable that way, as there was a bit of pain, blood oozing out, and I wasn't feeling very good. I told her that it was a Cape cobra. She must tell the doctor, in case I'm incapable of doing so, that it is a Cape cobra. It is the most venomous snake. We need the usual polyvalent antivenom. I will need anything between 10 and 12 ampules to neutralize the venom, and life support if necessary. And then that's the last thing I remember. I cannot remember anything after that. Clearly, at that point I passed out. Now that wasn't very long. I would say from the time of being bitten to giving her those instructions in the vehicle would have been half an hour, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, somewhere around there. It is most unusual, from my knowledge, that somebody would pass out that quickly from a Cape cobra bite. Anyway, I don't have anything to say after that. I was unconscious. Now this is the strange thing. I suddenly found myself one day back in my bedroom. I'd obviously had some amnesia. I must have either had one of those near-death experiences, which I'd had before with snakebite, something of that nature. I must have been unconscious for an extended period. It must have been a very serious bite. They probably battled to save my life, as I understand these things go, and I've seen it myself. But I woke up, not literally woke up, I was already awake, but I just realized one day I was in my bedroom, the same bedroom where I was bitten by the snake. Things had changed. I can't remember, I couldn't remember the date I was bitten. My mother didn't want to talk about it. The room had changed. The few temporary holding enclosures that I kept there for new arrivals before they went to our facility were gone. I didn't know what to say. I remember feeling hungry and going to get something to eat, and then slowly I began to, day by day, phone friends and talk to them. Nobody spoke to me about the snake bite. I thought this is most odd. My mother wouldn't speak to me about it. My father wouldn't speak to me about it. None of my brothers and sisters ever said anything about it. My friends didn't say anything about it. The only reason I have for this is that I must have been declared dead or nearly dead, or something terrible happened. And I have never, ever found out what happened. It's a terrible prospect. And I would like to warn people, if you want to deal with snakes, there are events which are beyond your comprehension which can take place. So there I was, 19 years old, preparing to go to the military, took out a snake, the snake bit me, and a portion of my life was gone. It was at least a month, however, from the time I was bitten till I found myself moving around and talking to people and being a human again, a person. It was at least a month. So for that long period, for all that time, I was somewhere, and I'll never know where.